presentation. Usually I like to talk a little bit about the special features of each of the full moons. If you are in Asia, generally the moon looks pretty much the same all year round, but here in the Western Hemisphere anyway, we tend to have different sort of themes and features of the full moon each time, to the point that they actually give them separate names. And we come to the fourth full moon of the year, which, according to the Farmer's Almanac, would be called the full pink moon. And I had a good look last night. It's clear skies that you tend to see a lot more of the moon for real. And I was disappointed. It didn't really look very pink. But reading further, I found out that the moon itself is not the thing that's pink. The name didn't come from the color of the moon, but came from something a little bit different, which is the color of the sort of flowers that are available at this time of the year. And the important one is phlox. Yeah, if you want to have pink coloration in your garden for free at this time of the year, then plant some phlox, because it will come up at this time of the year. Some people think it's a cherry blossom. Well, it's nice to think of that too, but it's really the phlox which was the origin of the full moon at this time of the year. And apparently, according to the available sources, it is a micro pink full moon that we have. Looking at it yesterday, I wouldn't have noticed that. It looks pretty big and bright, but apparently it is a long way from the Earth at this particular point, so it is a little bit smaller than all those supermoons that we had at the end of last year. Nonetheless, it's very bright, yes indeed. So to do the names a little bit, apart from the full pink moon, it is known as the sprouting grass moon, the budding moon of the plants and shrubs for the Tlingit, the growing moon for the Celts, when geese lay eggs moon for the Cheyenne, the fish moon, because it's when the fish come back for tribes on this side of the country, the breaking ice moon, a little further north as you might imagine, Algonquin and Arapaho, the budding moon for the Celts, egg moon for the Anglo-Saxons, nothing to do with Easter I'm sure, or like laying eggs. The moon of red grass appearing for Oglala, broken snowshoe moon for the Anishinaabe, frog moon for the Cree, sucker moon, and sucker is a sort of fish for Anishinaabe again, moon when ducks come back for the Lakota, moon when the streams are again navigable for the Dakota, and the partial moon for those who follow Easter and equinox, and which full moon occurs before which. So it's a partial moon this year. Bak Poya for those who are familiar with Sri Lanka. There's a legend which is celebrated that the Buddha actually visited Sri Lanka twice at least. And Bak Poya, the full moon day of fourth month, is the time when he is supposed to have done that, so that is celebrated, and the awakening moon for the neo-pagans. What we've had this year, particularly in Thai tradition, is a lot of things to do with sprinkling water on things. We had a little bit of that last weekend, but it was in advance. Actually, today's the day for most of the Thai temples. Those who are particularly keen on holy water and all its powers. Holy water to get rid of all your problems in life, like you do. Yeah, many different traditions. Well, they do it in a big way because this time of the year in Asia it gets pretty hot, and anything to do with water is definitely a blessing. But sprinkling water on things, relics, Buddha statues, statues of founders of the tradition, generally gently done, especially for old and venerable members of our family, or paying respect to them generally It's a time thinking of the sort of things which we are thankful for, especially in the people who are important in our lives or spiritually important in our lives. Sometimes it gets lost in the noise. In Thailand, they go the whole hog, and sometimes it's not so gentle or respectful. And especially if you're a tourist, you get caught in the crossfire occasionally, or especially in some cases. Yeah, it's hard, especially if you're on a motorcycle at this time of the year. And yes, very wasteful of water, I must admit, but in a part of the world where it doesn't really matter. Yes, indeed. But it's a time for gratitude and thankfulness. Sometimes the full moon itself is said to characterize a sense of emergence. You can imagine the grass sprouting up after the hard, cold months of the winter and new growth coming along. Then in our lives, it's the same sort of theme, and the ways which we can grow and re-emerge in a better and stronger way is often to do with things like gratitude. If we take the special effort to think about things we're grateful for, often it's at the front of our mind. Sometimes we forget to be grateful enough, but using a writing exercise or just thinking about today what you are grateful for, really that can really be something to put your mind onto, because otherwise by default our mind tends to go to all sorts of other things. There's just so much demand on our mind from the different things which are competing for our attention these days. So if we can keep our mind on something positive, then this is something that is an anchor for our mind, or a place which our mind can come back to. Really, it's the same principle with meditation, but we're taking a point of light or a point of peace within ourselves, or even the little exercise, writing down things which we hope for the world. It's like having our mind with a peg to hang our mind on, which is a peg to hang the mind in a positive sense, instead of all the other things competing for our mind. So gratitude, very powerful in that sense. And apart from that, letting go of things which are not serving us well, putting stuff behind us which are not serving us well. Coming up very soon, next week, we have something which we are sort of alluding to already, which is Earth Day. The actual day for this is the 22nd of April. Generally, it's a sort of environmental day, going back to the very first days of when Earth Day was first inaugurated. They had a human chain of people from west coast to east coast, unbroken. Yeah, you can imagine that as a feat for like the unity of the planet. You can imagine going back to those days how that was really a revolutionary way of thinking. These days, it still needs effort to make people respect the environment, but the way we think about the environment in terms of meditation is that it's not just the watercourses and the forests and the mountains that count as nature, but also the human beings in nature as well, which are a very important part of making nature work well for the planet. And often within the Buddhist context, they talk about the thing that is the bright guardian of the world being something which is to do with having a very elevated form of conscience or consciousness, where we celebrate our sense of humanity and integrity, and that is something which protects the world. Because if you think about even something as simple as throwing trash in the street, if people have a conscience, then they don't do that. So it's like at the very basis of the problem is the respect which people have for the planet and for their environment, in a sense of a responsibility. So often on Earth Day we do meditation. So that is something which we're hoping to do more of, in fact, next Saturday. But I have a little slide about that. But just to conclude for today, I would like to say that if you are new to meditation today, I would encourage you to continue with it. Everyone seems to, at least if I can believe a show of hands, done very well, even in the short period of time that we're meditating today. Today we meditate about 40 minutes. Don't know if you noticed. But if you are able to start with maybe 20 minutes at home, that is a very good foundation on which to build a regular practice. And as you feel more inclination to meditate, or you feel it is serving you better, then you can gradually increase the length of time. But if you can meditate a little bit every day, then you find it becomes easier, then you can go further in the time available. Some people like to meditate first thing in the morning when their mind is fresh. Some people who have sleeping problems like to meditate last thing at night. But if you can find your 20 minutes at some peaceful time of the day when you have a good energy and a minimum of interruptions, then that will usually work very well as moving forward with your meditation practice. As part of our tradition, we have a dedicated app, which is free of charge. You can download onto your cell phone, and it has a lot of audio traps from myself, from Venerable Daniel, I think, is in there too, and several other monks who work in English language in our tradition have recorded tracks of different lengths, different approaches to the meditation practice, which you may find, amongst those, you may find one that resonates for you. Classes here take place on a weekly basis, every Thursday evening in the building just adjacent here between 7 and 8 p.m., and also on weekends, on Sunday mornings as well. Where it's sometimes people find it useful to meditate as a group, because if you're left to your own devices or meditate on your own, it can seem quite peaceful, but sometimes you can get lazy as well. So meditating as a group is sort of boosts your inspiration. I go deeper on Buddhism usually once a month, and tomorrow happens to be the day when I do an afternoon session which goes a little bit deeper on Buddhism for those who are interested. For kids, we encourage them to meditate too, but as you might imagine, for slightly shorter periods of time. Generally, kids can manage about 10 minutes if you're lucky. Yeah, but we have got kids meditating from the age of 4 upwards. Usually less than that hasn't really given great results. The candlelight outdoor event, which I was talking about for next Saturday, starts for the 6:30 p.m. registration for a start at 7 to 8. If you'd like to join us for that, probably the advice on warm clothes and bug spray it would be mostly relevant, yes. But it's nice to meditate outside in the nature with the crickets and the frogs, and having no 4 walls around you has a very different feeling from being inside the building, I will say. It's like it opens up your practice in a way which is somehow significant. That is what we're doing in the name of Earth Day this year, and that's what it looks like for those who gather together. Yeah, what else should I mention? Also, further down the road, we have a grand festival called Visakha Day, which is coming up on Sunday, May the 11th, which you might like to put in your calendar. We have Buddhist temples from all over LA County joining us for that. Probably it'll be 100 monks, I think. And there's not only candle lighting, but also a candle procession as well, which you may find interesting as well. Next full moon meditation is right the day after that, because it's Visakha Day celebrates the full moon also. We have our full moon transmission meditation on Monday, May the 12th, here again, and that is for the May full moon, which is called the flower moon. Yes, indeed. So you are invited to keep meditating for sure, and please join us for any other of those group meditations that you feel convenient to join. But just to finish off with, if there are any comments, questions, or feedback at this point, I'd be very pleased to hear from you.
So please raise your hand if you have any questions for the Venerable, or if you'd like to share your experience. Any brave souls? Oh, here you go.
So I noticed, I have a quick question. I noticed that I definitely enjoy meditating in groups and I feel grounded and I feel very peaceful, but I have more trouble at home. And definitely if it's not a guided meditation, can you give us some tips on how to meditate better at home?
So some people find that not all of their home is peaceful, but maybe it's possible to find a peaceful corner of your home where you can make a little nest in order to meditate. And maybe you can wear earplugs and blinkers and switch off the lights and pretend you're not there. Or it may be a certain time of the day for your home is more peaceful than another time. I know some people complain about, for example, pets trying to interrupt their meditation the whole time, but if you wake up before your pets, then you may get some peaceful time to meditate when the house is still peaceful. So it may be that you can shift the time of the day or have a quiet corner. Some people have a dedicated place for meditation in their home. If everyone respects that in your home, given that there may be lots of people in your home, that may be useful as well, to have a particular room or a particular place where it's known that people can go to be quiet for that time of the day. Yeah.
Anybody else?
I will add that generally the place people sleep should be peaceful, because if it's peaceful enough for you to sleep, generally it should be peaceful enough to meditate. But some people bring the TV in their bedroom, and that immediately makes the bedroom much less peaceful. So this can be a problem sometimes as well. Yeah. Are you overwhelmed by your meditation experience? No? Let's go on.
Meditated before and it's very relaxing, but for some reason today it felt very, I don't know how to say it, like if I was gonna fall, and then I would just open my eyes and I was fine. Why is that?
So sometimes strange things that happen in meditation can be a blessing in disguise. Generally, we would associate difficulties in meditation with something happening to throw us off our practice. But sometimes weird things can happen when our meditation is actually going quite well. But this is a special category of what might be called hindrances in meditation, where when our mind becomes very calm, it's almost like some sort of energy is released. And the energy can express itself in different ways for different people. For example, some people may find that they are suddenly very energized. I've heard some people saying they suddenly become very hot. Some people feel they're getting very light in weight, like they're floating. For you, it sounds like maybe you are like swaying, or you've lost your spatial awareness a little bit, as if you're about to fall off the seat or whatever. I don't think you're falling asleep, right? Mm-hmm. So it's almost like at a certain point in your meditation, body and mind become a little bit more independent. And it's almost like an energy is released at that point, where something surprising will then happen, usually which will throw you from your meditation, not throw you off your chair. Whereby if you're now convinced that you're not actually going to fall off your chair, if you can next time ignore when that happens, you will tend to go past it. So whatever happens, all the weird, sudden, unexpected stuff in your meditation which seems to happen when your meditation is going well, if you can ignore it and pretend you're not interested, then you can generally move past it to like the good stuff in the meditation, where the energy is settled and you become more centered. So yes, don't be put off by that, but see it as a good thing, but something where you're 99% of the way to a really good meditation, and you just need to go that one step further by ignoring it and moving past it.
Yeah. I've had the same experience. I had it today, and I've had it a few times where where I feel like I might be falling. I've kind of, and believe you me, I'm not really good at meditating yet. I've been doing it now for about 8 months, and I'm trying to find a good rhythm. But I find when I get to that place where I feel like I'm gonna fall or kind of floating or whatever, I've learned to embrace that and just have that as part of the experience. Usually I don't. I haven't fallen yet. I don't think I have. And I'll just kind of, what I've done is, you know, when I'm gain awareness of it, at first I was a little afraid. I was like, what happened, right? But then I realized it was kind of happening not every time, but almost every time. And I just kind of embraced it as part of the meditation process. Yeah. For me, I have the kind of work that I do and situation that I'm in with work and everything, I'm so tightly gripping everything that when that happens, I almost feel like, wow, I didn't have control over that. I didn't have control of what was happening at that moment, except to be aware of it. And I'm listening to myself, I'm like, who's speaking? But it's actually, it was kind of nice, you know. I'm like, wow, I don't have to have control over that. I don't have to have control of anything that's happening except for being present. So.
Yeah. So generally, this practice of meditation is of a nature that once you're centered and once you're calm within yourself and you have some confidence in the meditation technique, wherever it takes you, you can be sure that that is safe. So you don't need to worry about it, just go with it. And it's leading you to something better, but don't let it push your buttons in the meantime. Yeah.